for today's cup of coffee, we have a what the fuck file.
What the fuck?
Totally, completely.
Yeah, this one's spooky.
And I will tell you that this is a bitter cup.
Yeah, it's quite bitter, quite spooky.
And it's going to be probably controversial with a lot of people.
I mean, I don't know how it's going to be controversial. Everybody should come to the same consensus. Consensus? Yes, by the end of this.
I would hope so. The people that listen to us probably so. Mm-hmm. The people that are very much not self-aware. Well, usually those don't last long on our little pirate ship.
No, I had someone that was not aware enough. I got into like a little comment argument type thing.
On our pirate ship here?
No, not on our pirate ship.
Okay.
On TikTok. I did say that. But yeah, they ended up blocking me. And so that prevented me from seeing their response to me.
Right.
And I'm like, why would you do that? If you don't want me to see your response, why respond and then block me?
Right. Well, maybe they didn't know how it worked.
No, they did that to be shady.
Like I said, we've got a lot of people screaming and not that many people listening.
I shut one up being like, you probably watch mainstream media, don't you? You probably watch either Fox, CNN, CBB.
It's all state sanctioned.
Or Yahoo News. I even put out Yahoo News.
Yeah, because that's what's going on.
And they never responded back.
Well, no, because a lot of these people, they don't want someone to tell them that they're wrong.
Mm-mm.
They're wise in their own eyes. Mm-hmm. And this, I actually, when I read this the other day, it upset me greatly. And there's reasons, and I'll explain that within that.
I mean, they're valid reasons.
And I think they're valid.
Get upset.
I think that they were highly valid. And this is from Daily Mail and is by Emma Richter, January 11th, of course, 2024. And I had to sit on it for a few days.
Yeah, you did.
Because it was very upsetting to me. And so the report says a second dead inmate in Alabama prisons had his remains reportedly returned to his family with missing organs. Charles Edwards Singleton, 74, who was being held at the Hamilton Age and Infirmed Center when he died in November of 2021, because just because you old and sick, they'll keep your ass in prison. And he was returned to his family without all of his organs, including his brain. Another inmate, Brandon Dotson, who was 43, who died at the Ventress Correctional Facility in Barber County, November of 2023, was sent back to his family without his heart.
This is sick.
Singleton's family members were informed that their deceased relative had no organs in his body after a funeral director told them that it would, quote, be difficult to prepare his body for viewing, end quote, since it was in a noticeable state of decomposition and advanced skin slippage, according to WBMA.
Why would they allow it to get to that state?
Because they didn't care. The distraught family then requested that his organs be returned to the funeral home in Pale City by the University of Alabama Birmingham's Department of Pathology, but have yet to receive them. According to court documents... They weren't theirs.
It's not right for them just to steal organs.
Right. According to court documents, Singleton's loved ones were told that organs of the deceased are typically placed in a bag while the autopsy is performed and are returned back to the body after. The University of Alabama told WBMA, quote, we do not comment on pending litigation. We only conduct autopsies with consent or authorization and follow standard procedures equitably for anyone consented to or authorized for an autopsy, end quote. That's a very strange sentence, but that doesn't surprise me. The statement said, quote, in an autopsy, organs and tissues are removed to best determine the cause of death. Autopsy consent includes consent for final disposition of the organs and tissues. Unless specifically requested, organs are not returned to the body, end quote. Okay, if the person's dead, how are they going to consent or not consent?
Right?
Though Singleton died in custody in 2021, his family decided to come forward after they heard about Dotson's similar story. Dotson's family from Tennessee sued the Alabama Department of Corrections in December after they claimed that his body was returned to them without a heart. His apparent sudden death occurred on the same day he was set to be considered for parole.
That's suspicious.
According to a federal lawsuit against the Alabama Department of Corrections, Dotson's body was missing his heart and his corpse was so badly decomposed the family was unable to have an open casket funeral. The disturbing discovery was first noticed by an independent pathologist the family hired in Birmingham to determine his cause of death. The pathologist noted, quote, the heart was missing from the chest cavity of Mr. Dotson's body, making it hard to determine how he died, end quote. The suit alleges wrongful death and cites the failure of prison officials to safeguard Dotson, neglecting his medical needs and mishandling his remains. The complaint states, quote, the Alabama Department of Corrections or an agent responsible for conducting the autopsy or transporting the body to his family had inexplicably and without the required permission from Mr. Dotson's next of kin, removed and retained Mr. Dotson's heart, end quote. The lawsuit filed by Dotson's daughter, Audrey Marie Dotson, and his mother, Audrey South, has also contends that Dotson's body was not released to the family until 5 days after his death. An unspecified amount of money was also requested in the suit. Well, rightfully so. The family also revealed that when they observed Dotson's body, they saw, quote, bruising on the back of his neck and excessive swelling across his head, end quote. The lawsuit states, quote, the defendants performed an autopsy on the deceased and removed the heart, thereby concealing the true cause of death. By taking this action, defendants intentionally or recklessly destroyed or altered key evidence that deprived plaintiff of the ability to determine how the deceased died through an independent autopsy. The heart is a vital organ that would provide critical evidence in assessing the cause of death. Without the heart, plaintiff cannot obtain an accurate and complete determination of the circumstances surrounding the deceased's death, end quote. Dotson's family attorney, Lauren Ferriano, called it, quote, grotesque and disrespectful and unacceptable, end quote, to take a vital organ from someone without the family knowing. Mm-hmm. The family believes the heart may have been given to the University of Alabama Birmingham Hersink School of Medicine for medical research purposes by students. When the family received their loved one's body, court filings said, quote, it had not been properly stored and was severely decomposed, end quote, and had to, quote, no choice but to hold a closed casket funeral service, end quote. Smith told the Moulton Advisor, quote, it was 5 days before the body was released. I got to see him on the 6th day, but they didn't want me to see him because they wanted to do something to make him look a little better because it was horrific. I wouldn't even say that was human how bad my son looked, end quote. The family is now looking for answers and suggests that two possible scenarios might have occurred. One was that Dotson was subjected to violence within the facility or he had access to drugs. His mother and daughter filed the suit to seek the immediate return of Mr. Dotson's heart so the vital organ may be examined by an autopsy pathologist and then properly cremated or interred. The lawsuit details how Dotson asked for help days before he died, saying that another inmate was targeting him for violence. The suit also notes that severe overcrowding in Alabama prisons also led to a lack of inmate supervision. It went on to detail that when Dotson's brother called the prison to retrieve his body, the warden, quote, expressed surprise, end quote, adding many families do not collect inmates' bodies and sometimes aren't notified of their deaths. The complaint named DOC Commissioner John Q. Ham, DOC Chief Deputy Commissioner of Corrections Greg Lovelace, Ventress Correctional Facility Warden Karen Williams, Alabama Department of Forensic Sciences Director Angelo Della Manna, multiple unnamed prison employees, and the University of Alabama at Birmingham Hersink School of Medicine as defendants. In 2022, 260 inmates died in Alabama prison custody, according to the lawsuit. In 1 year. The figure is the highest in the department's history, and the death rate in 2023 was similar. A week before the lawsuit was filed, Alabama officials released statistics showing assaults in state prisons increased by more than 41% in 2023 compared to the previous year. Of the 2,073 assaults, 1,578 of them were between inmates, and 495 of them were reported as inmate assaults on prison staff. In September alone, there were 137 assaults between inmates and 42 inmate assaults on prison staff. And people are like, well, what the hell does this have to do with paranormal and supernatural? It has to do with spirit of lawlessness. Also has to do with the fact that Christ told us to remember the prisoners.
Yeah, he did.
And since we have an incarcerated loved one, this is personal.
It is.
I have fought the system. And it's like, it's just has been absolutely insane. People don't understand how easily it can happen to them or their loved ones. And one of the links I'm going to leave you is from a website. It's called Prison Policy Initiative. This is a website I'm very familiar with over the years because they do a lot of research.
Right.
It's not just an opinion piece. And there's one that's called Mass Incarceration, the Whole Pie of 2023. Wonderful as far as the statistics. They've taken the guesswork out of it. Even as far as I was able to edify myself on a lot of these things.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like we think that these private prisons are the problem. No, only 7% of people are held in private prisons. The rest of it is state funded, state run, and explains how that this is a money racket. Totally, completely. It is a very comprehensive article. I encourage everyone to read this, edify yourself.
And their refusal to comment is just actually confirmation.
Well, people don't want to think about it. This is part of the othering. The people that are incarcerated are the throwaway people. Everybody, they're the lowest on the totem pole for most people. They're like, oh, well, they did something. They were stupid. They fucked around and found out.
But it's like there's a bunch of reasons as to why people would end up in jail. And it's not, there should be different jails based on category of offense.
Yeah, especially if you've got somebody that has a severe mental illness.
Right.
And I would say, now, I don't have the actual statistic. When somebody enters this is from research from years back, when somebody enters the system, as far as them receiving a proper diagnosis, that is very rare. It's going to be very rare. You know, husband had a diagnosis from out on the street, have had to fight everything, fucking tooth and nail. Because even as far as a lot of professionals, what do? They look at, F is the current scarlet letter.
Yeah.
And once somebody has that on them, it will follow them for the rest of their life. Nobody cares the why. They don't care what's behind it. Doesn't matter if they've served their time. It's forever. They're looked at as less than. And like I said, folks, you don't have any idea how easily it could happen to you. Mm-mm. And this one statistic was interesting, and this was from, I think it's from the Bureau of Justice Statistics. I'm familiar with those folks. Also from 2020, 113 million adults in America have had an immediate family member who has ever been to jail or prison. 113 million adults. That's not counting the kids. And that was then. So you're looking basically at a third of the current population that has had to deal with the incarceration industry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And so it's just, it says that 5.5 million people is, that they're currently under government control through the corrections industry.
It's a mafia type shit.
It is. It is. And as far as a lot of the parole officers and stuff like that, I've heard people say that a lot, that they set them up to fail.
They do.
And it's like, you talk about a power trip, total and complete.
Uh-huh.
There was one time, as far as parole officer or probation officer, whatever it is, and it's like, had no idea when she was going to call. When she called, and I had to go and meet with her, or she was have to do a home visit.
Right.
I told her, I said, I'm in Walmart. I had to leave my buggy then and come home immediately. If you're a family member, guess what? You've got the invisible F hanging on you too.
You do.
Because how dare you associate with someone that is a felon? How dare you? So this is a near and dear to my heart. This was part of, as far as ministry, still doing it. Mm-hmm. And as far as, I would rather work with some of these inmates any day, because they know where they've been. They know that they've messed up, than some of these self-righteous assholes.
Some of them do, yeah. Yeah.
And that includes the ones that are screaming, put them in there, throw away the key. Because when you are in there, time fucking stops.
That is true. And after Gypsy Rose was released, people are shocked that she's saying some off-the-wall shit, like on her social media and such, and figuring out, like, oh, she's not what y'all painted her out to be.
In what way?
I mean, I won't, like, she's a traumatized girl who's saying some off-the-wall shit.
Absolutely.
And they're shocked that she's doing that.
She was the one who, her mother, it was Munchausen by proxy, correct?
Yeah, it was Munchausen.
And so that she couldn't take it anymore, and basically had someone to murder the mother so that the abuse would stop. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was her and her boyfriend that did it.
And
he actually stabbed her, though, I think. Or killed her. I don't know how.
And so people don't understand that a child who goes through that amount of trauma and then goes through incarceration, which is more trauma, and they expect her to do what?
They were expecting
to behave how?
Perfect. Normally.
What is normal on shit like that?
Someone that is politically correct. Someone that does not. That is in touch with current situations, all that.
How
and it's like, that is
not
possible. If someone is trapped in that sort of thing for that long.
Right.
They're going to be out of touch with the real world.
Yeah. And it's hard. And that's the reason it is vital for these people to have a proper support system when they get out. And and honestly, a lot of these people that they claim that they follow in Christ, there's a difference between those people and church people. Because the ones that will that turned their back on us the quickest are still sitting someplace in a padded pew.
Yep.
And I haven't forgotten. And it's like, as far as forgiveness, you can forgive somebody, but that doesn't mean you forget what the hell they did.
Right.
And I know that God doesn't forget stuff like that.
No.
You be kind to people. Treat people the way you would want to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know these people's situations. I have worked with these people that, some of these girls that were cutters, where they had been so abused and then they turned to drugs and all this other stuff. That's like, you don't judge these people.
Mm-mm. No.
Will I go to bat for a lot of them? Absolutely. Do some of them deserve to be locked away from the rest of society? Absolutely. Not saying we don't need some other solution. But as far as giving organs away or not even having enough respect for somebody's family to call them when they're loved, we've had it happen. Had a medical emergency happen with husband. He didn't hear from him for about 3 days.
Yeah, literally.
And he's like, "You mean they didn't call you?" And I'm like, "No, they didn't call me." So yeah, it's fucking personal.
It is,
and it's
personal.
Disgusting. And if we can
It's
change the heart
wicked.
and mind of one person to sit there and go, "You know what? I need to really rethink this shit. I've been talking out of my ass for years." And there are there are so many people that want to call themselves conservative, and they're some of the worst that are talking out of their ass as far as how prisons should be done.
Mm-hmm.
My suggestion is go and volunteer to stay for 1 week inside as an inmate.
Yeah.
You could work out a deal with the warden. I'm sure you could.
Mm-hmm. What was that like? There was a show where they did throw these people in there to see, so they could see what it was like.
Was it 30 days in or 60 days in or something like that?
30 days in, maybe?
Something. And some of them couldn't stand it because they were losing their minds.
Wasn't that that one dude that was like, "Oh, I need like a soft bristle toothbrush," and everybody's looking at him like, "Good luck."
Right.
And he was bitching and whining the whole damn time that he was in there. And then he got out and was like, "Oh, it was nothing."
Well, and that's something that lately, there's been some high profile people that had to do like a month or two. And I laughed. Mm-hmm. I literally laughed. And it didn't teach them anything. Because instead of them going in there and talking to some of the other inmates and finding out their stories, they still went in and came out with the attitude that they were somehow different or better than. And I'm thinking, you didn't. God gave you an opportunity.
And they didn't take it.
Brennan Manning. If you've never heard that man's story, he was remarkable. He walked a remarkably broken road. And he can explain the grace of Christ unlike anybody else I've ever heard. At one point, he did go in. The only other person that knew that he wasn't an inmate was the warden. He went in there to minister to those men. How many's willing to do it?
Not many.
If they're not willing to put their ass on the line, don't want to hear from them. This is, and prayers for these families, because God help them, bless them. You don't know not many people know what it's like to sit there and look at a mama that is crying because she doesn't understand what happened to her son. Why he went the wrong way. I've seen it. I've sat there with them. I've sat there beside them. Sometimes I've held their hands. I've cried on their shoulders. They've cried on mine.
They certainly have. Get a lot of experience like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's very eye-opening when you work in those industries.
Yeah. It's very eye-opening when you have a loved one with a severe mental illness have have to go through this.
Yep.
And the lack of support from anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I will tell you this. Some of our people on this tiny little pirate ghost ship have kept me going many days.
They have. And they are a blessing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Final thoughts on this one, kid?
Something needs to change, and God, hold these people accountable.
People's hearts. And it's like, God, please touch their hearts and remove the scales from their eyes to where they can see what they're doing to other people, what they're allowing to happen to other human beings.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because it's horrific. And we want to sit and point a finger at other nations and how these horrible things are going on when it's going on in our own.
Right. Take care of your home before you take care of anything else.
Yeah. I'll quit preaching now. Well, for this one. I don't know. I don't think it's possible for me to quit
this needs
preaching.
to be preached about.
Yeah. If you've had experiences with paranormal or supernatural encounters with UFOs, aliens, cryptids, demonic spirits.
Yep.
You can send us an email, cupofcoffeewithscream@gmail.com. That'll be in the description box, plus the links to the articles and stuff. Take a look at that. I forgot what it was. That one thing.
The article?
That one thing.
The article?
Yeah, the articles. But as far as the prison policy initiative, edify yourself and edify others.
Yes, please do that. You don't want to be an educated idiot.
No.
If you like this video, don't forget to like, share, comment, and most of all subscribe and click that notification button for daily notifications of our daily uploads. Thank you all, and have a good...
Know that you're loved.
Yes.
Doesn't matter where you've been, what you've done, there's always forgiveness.
Absolutely.
Everybody deserves... Sometimes it's more than a second chance.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. If you have a mental health problem, please get help. And it includes drug and alcohol problems. We've got, in our description box, as far as a national mental health hotline, whatever it is. If you need prayer, send us an email. If I don't get back to you fast enough, send another one.
Mm-hmm.
Know that you are loved.
Yep.
And Lord willing, we'll see you on the next cup.
Uh-huh.
Bye.
Bye. Also, the creaking and the squeaking is a figure. That's what that was.
Okay.
Oh, they could hear it. It's right over here.
Okay. He's fidgeting. He's got a fidget toy.
It's a zombie figure.
Okay.
I'm popping it apart.
Bye.